Hi everyone, I'm Amy and this is Hudson Valley Tarot. Thanks for checking out my video. I just received in the mail my Kickstarter from Andrea Asti called The Book of Shadows, an Alchemist Story. It's a tarot deck that I purchased on Kickstarter. It was approximately 85 pounds sterling in total, maybe a little more because the shipping ended up costing a little more than originally planned, but that's okay. And what made me fall in love with this Kickstarter was really the creator's amazing, magical, and childlike imagination. His personality just lit everything up. He was so fun and so, like I said, just magical is the word that keeps coming to my mind. And the deck and all the things that come with it reflect that. So let's just start from just all the little stuff. You get this little postcard here, and it has the fact that John Matthews, Sasha Graham, and Raina George all contributed towards the in the book. And then it gives like a little QR code to download some digital goods that came with the Kickstarter and just, his website and all that. So that was nice. Next, I got these, what are they called? The lost documents or something. And these were extras, but they were part of like the package I picked. And I mean, it comes with this little key charm, which I really love. But this is what I love. It's a little extra above and beyond the information in the book. But look at what he's done. I mean, the burnt edges, the intentional aging of the paper, it just makes it magical, right? It really just adds to that feeling that you're like in an Indiana Jones story and you're trying to find the lost pages, right? So I did look through this already and I'm really pleased with the information it contains. It's not a lot, it's not jam-packed, but it's got really useful information as far as for reading the cards. It talks about his way, it talks a little bit about alchemy. It gives this piece here on reversals, and it also has this article on how to do a deeper reading. So it's really useful stuff. And here's my only gripe with this. I love the way he presented it because again, this is what this deck is. It's more than just a deck. It's a magical experience. It's supposed to take you to another place, and he does that well. And this is a part of that. What the problem is using this in the future when you don't have something that you can put in an envelope or put in something that protects it or a notebook or anything like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to easily remedy that by scanning them into a PDF and printing. I can either print the PDF and use that and then put this away someplace safe, or I can just use the PDF on my computer and read it from there. So it's easily solvable, but there is just something about like using these documents. And then the other thing is it doesn't matter if you kind of spill some coffee on them because it will just look perfect. So I really love that. And you can tell this is really burned on the edges. So the attention to the details and the time he must have taken to do this, I really appreciate. So this is a huge bonus. And then I ordered the box. The wooden box was an extra. It was part of the package that I purchased, but it could have also been purchased as an extra. Now, you could tell that the box is not it's it's a little rough, and it's not polished, right? It's not shellacked. I could do that myself. And he has very nicely glued images from his cards onto and inside of the box. The wood is rather soft, and I would imagine it could get scratched really easily. Um, the box is okay though. I love the clasp, but this box will not take a beating. All right, and then this thing on the surface, you can't stick anything on top of this because you might damage the embellishment here. So I would say it could have been better, but then, he'd have to charge a lot more, and I understand that. So for what we paid, it's good, and it fits the whole deck inside the tuck box and with room. So what I think you could do as well, if you don't want it shaking around, is you could just wrap it in a cloth, a small scarf or something, and it would be really perfect in there. So that's the box. And now let's look at, come on, go in there. Okay. Well, let's look at the Book of Shadows. This is touted as a graphic novel. So it does tell a story. But you can see here is the story, but it also has in the back some spreads and other cool stuff, and the meanings of the cards. So for me, this is excellent, and I can't wait to read through his graphic novel. He is definitely a storyteller for sure. And oh, wow, Book of Shadows. Oh my, there's so much in here. And maybe I'll talk about it more after I've had a chance to read through it. But this book is very well produced. The cover is wonderful. It contains information from these three writers. Here's a little forward from John Matthews. I believe he created a deck with John Matthews. The deck of dark and light, or light and shadows, or something like that. And then little something about Sasha. Oh, this is really awesome. Talked about developing. This is really great. Oh, can't wait to look through this. So this, I mean, I've bought decks that cost as much as all of this and gotten just a deck. So for the amount of money I paid, I couldn't, this is amazing. So now for the best part, guys. So here is the deck. It came wrapped in bubble wrap. And I just wanted to point out something that I came across when I first opened it is, and maybe you can see it. I'm trying to see in the video, maybe you can't. But there is like a little round adhesive on the top and on the bottom, right here, to keep the box from opening, I would suspect. And I think this was a really bad idea for them to do, because I was so afraid I would damage the box when I had to slit this open, because I was afraid some of the adhesive might get pulled off the box and then rip some of the, illustration off the box. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to find a nice scarf or piece of fabric to wrap this deck in. I'm going to take the box and put it someplace safe where it won't get destroyed. And I'm just going to leave it in that wooden box wrapped in fabric, because I don't want to have to keep opening and closing this box and risk it getting torn or damaged because of these adhesives. They could easily get caught and and kind of peel off. So now when I open a tuck box, I stick in a tapestry needle and I get that little lip away from the um, box so that it opens without tearing either these or these little flaps here. That's the one reason I don't like tuck boxes in general, is that the box is so easily damaged. Every time you open it, you're wearing out the box. I really do prefer a nice sturdy kind of clamshell box, something like this box here, where it just opens and closes and you don't have to damage anything. It's really sturdy. But for a tuck box, it's a really nice and sturdy one. It's thick, it's very well made, it's put together nice. You could tell there's no peeling away where the glued edges are. So I'm not going to complain too much about the tuck box. For the price we paid for this Kickstarter campaign, the tuck box is fine. And like I said, I'm just going to put it away. I'm glad I got the box. I can wrap it in some fabric and leave it in the box. And you can see here on my spread cloth, I don't know if you can see it, but there's little bits of the burnt edges of the paper. So again, those lost documents, that's part of his story. I can't use this. I have to scan these and I'm gonna probably put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in a file someplace very safe to preserve them, because you can't use them with I'm already losing. Yeah. So just something I noticed, but I love that he did that. All right. So now, like I said, I did go through all the motions already because I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. So my apologies. These are already shuffled. And I did go through a lot of them. Not all of the cards, but as I talk, I will show you some of the cards, but they're not in any order because I already did a shuffle test, which we'll do after this. But what I love most, I really love how he depicts the skies. I love the night sky. To me, it's so beautiful the way he has the stars. I love all of his color palette here. I love the deep and vibrant colors. And I just think he chose the color palette for this deck very well. I think he depicted the cards beautifully. So there is like this is more of a Marseille type magician. But there's also some Rider-Waite image, depictions in here. And there's also a little bit of his own stuff in here, right? So like this is you can see the Rider-Waite symbolism in here, but you can also see he's got his own thing going on, and I love that. King of Swords. I mentioned in the first round where I forgot to record that a lot of his style reminds me of the Saki Saki Tarot, because in her deck, I had the original. I actually eventually sold it, but I did own the original version for a long time, and the characters in her deck that did have faces looked a lot like this moon face here. It's just interesting to point out. Four of Wands, cups here. You can see we're very into the Rider-Waite symbolism. See if we can get to some of the. All right, so here's the moon. Kind of Rider-Waite, but kind of not. There's the Two of Swords. Five of Cups. Love Temperance. At the Sun. But the Sun card is definitely more Marseille than Rider-Waite. The World is its own little thing here he's got going on. The Empress. The Death card. What would you say? This could be Rider-Waite or Marseille. the Hierophant. Just beautiful. Look at the Ten of Cups. I like that's different. I like that. All right. So now these cards are they're shiny, but not super shiny, kind of like in a tacky way, if you will. They have a bit of a glare, but not too much. So I do like the finish. I don't mind it. I'm not really particular about that sort of thing. I mean, the only one I would say I really don't like is like those rose petal finishes. They're so hard to shuffle. But even still, I'm not gonna really get too caught up in the finish. And also the size. The two things that matter a lot to me personally are the sides. I don't like a card that's so big that I can't comfortably wrap my fingers around it to shuffle. So this one is actually perfect for my hand size, which is, I guess it's a little large, but not too much. And I overhand shuffle like this, and I do jumpers. Sometimes I fan out the cards. But here's one thing with this method of shuffling is the deck is so thick. This is a thick deck. Yeah. It's about an inch and a half thick. It is. It's an inch and a half thick. And this is an old ruler, so you can't really see. A lot of the numbers are worn off, but that's a pretty thick deck. So again, I can't grasp all the cards, but that's fine. It works. Um, the cards are just slippery enough to overhand shuffle really well, but they're not sliding all over the place like some slippery decks. They're just like you can't control them at all because they're just sliding all over each other. And so this I really, really like the way they're shuffling for me for overhand. But I have to say, if you don't shuffle like this, you're not going to have a fun time shuffling this deck. So, because it's so thick, I literally could not riffle shuffle because I could not get the curve in the deck at all. So, and then really, really hard on the hands. It's going to warp your cards. It was really hard to riffle shuffle. The only thing I would suggest is maybe you could maybe you could just do one half of the deck at a time. Then it was quite easier to shuffle. But with the whole deck, no way. There's no way I could shuffle. Or riffle shuffle, that is. So, I mean, you can, but it's not easy. And I couldn't, yeah, you'd have to put it together like that. I have decks that are much harder to shuffle than this one, but I have decks that are a lot easier too. But I would say overall, this is a really nice card stock, and I would say I'm very pleased with it. Again, I'm not a very picky card stock person. For me, it's more about the size of the cards and are they too slippery to shuffle when they go or too pedally so that they're always sticking together. That's the only thing. Oh, look at this. So already I have damage. Look at that. Well, look at that already. Just from shuffling it a few times, I've got it's all right. I take that back. I don't like the card stock. I don't like the card. Wow, that's disappointing. Wow, already. I'm so sad about that. So Yeah, a few of them. I mean, you can see kind of looking down that there's going to be a few cards in here that because I riffle shuffled, they got little blips. So yeah, you have to be careful with these. Oh, that's so sad to me because I am going to use this deck, don't get me wrong. I bought this deck and I don't use handle decks with kids' gloves. I buy a deck to use it. And this will get used. I don't riffle shuffle, so it should be okay for me. But I would say if you're going to use this deck, be really careful when you're shuffling it. Treat it with kids' gloves. If you don't want to damage it, maybe you might want to resell it in the future. You're going to have to be very, very gentle with it if you want to use it. So the cardstock is no bueno. He should have chosen differently. So very sad about that. But again, this was a really good price. So I'm trying to think 85 pounds sterling in US dollars is about $120, $130. I'm guessing. I'm just guessing. I'd have to put it through the, exchange thing. And for what I've got, that's a really good price. And I'm not disappointed as a whole. But really, I think he could have gotten a better card stock without breaking the bank. I would think. I don't know. But, we should be able to expect the cards that can take a good shuffling without getting damaged, especially like right out of the box. Right out of the box, it's already messed up. And again, too thick to riffle shuffle. So that is my opening of this deck. I can't wait to see his mockumentary. So that's another thing that came with the Kickstarter is he is putting together a movie. And I can't wait to see it because this guy is really talented. Really, really talented. And the book, I can't wait to look through it. I can't wait to do some readings with this deck. And like I said, just be careful with the cardstock. I would say that's my only disappointment. And even the box is fine for what we paid. And it's a really sturdy tuck box. But if you don't want to wreck the tuck box, you might want to get a bag for this deck. But this is definitely going to be a favorite, I know for sure, because I just love everything about it. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Did you get this deck? Would you get this deck? Are you disappointed with the cardstock? Let me know in the comments. And thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.